Hola amigos, my name is Billy Sheehan. I'm a bass player and you're watching me right here on rockmusicstar.com.
Okay, here we are with Billy Sheehan from the Winery Dogs. Billy, I want to say welcome back to Buffalo, New York. How does it feel to be back here?
Absolutely wonderful. Great to see a city. They're looking great. See a lot of old friends, some family, and all that. It's wonderful.
Now, your band that you're currently in, the Winery Dogs, have just released your second record, Hot Streak. It's a follow-up to your first record, which was really critically acclaimed. How much pressure was there on you and the band trying to follow up such a great record as your debut record?
Really none at all. We didn't look at it that way. We just wanted to make another good record. We were pretty inspired by the fact that people accepted the first record so generously, how wonderful they were to us. So we thought, well, let's do what we did before with over 100 shows experience together playing live. And I think a lot of that experience showed itself in Hot Streak. We're much more of a, we have more experience playing together on stage all over the world, and it reflects in, hopefully, in the depth of the songwriting and performance on the record. So we didn't really think about it as pressure, but we really wanted to make a great record.
And what is the writing process like in the band? I mean, there's three amazing musicians in the band. Is this band a democracy? I mean, you all, kind of say, or is there one guy that kind of steers the ship?
Well, I like to refer to it as an ideocracy, that the best idea wins out, no matter who it comes from. So we get together in a room, and we've made, between the three of us, hundreds of records, played on hundreds of records, made records, written hundreds of songs. So we have a lot of experience in just putting material together. So we, in a room, I'll play a little bass line, Richie goes, what's that? Or try this, what key? F sharp, okay, Mike, what do you got? Oh, how about this? Bang, okay, there's a... Okay, what about a chorus? Where would we go with a chorus? How about this? No, how about this? Oh yeah, good, that's cool. Just like that all day. And it's fast, it's painless, it's easy, it's enjoyable. And so far, what we've gotten from that has worked really well. It helps also having Richie sing on top of it, because he could, all those guys, he could sing the phone book, they say, and it would sound pretty good, singing almost anything. So he can take a D- piece of music and make it A+ with some great vocals, so we're lucky to have a voice like Richie's with us, so that certainly helps a lot. But the process itself is relatively easy, and we actually enjoy it.
Now, do you guys, do you have a tendency of overwriting where you have extra material, or do you just write enough, as many songs as you need for a release?
Well, we write until we know we got enough stuff that we love, that we really think is righteous and it's going to work on a record, and there are variations from song to song. Just putting a record together is kind of like doing a movie. You want to, and have some ups, some downs, a little romance, a little comedy, a little frightening, a little whatever. So we just try to do a broad spectrum of material that covers a lot of ideas and sonic characteristics. And then when we feel we got enough, we got enough. We don't necessarily have to write another 8 or 10 pieces to satisfy somebody else later. And we've been very fortunate because we basically produce ourselves, and everything is pretty much our decision. The sequencing of the songs, what songs get chosen, how they're mixed and everything like that. It's pretty much band is hands-on on everything, which is very nice.
How gratifying is it to see how your peers react to this? One of the things that really caught my attention was on the first release that Paul Stanley actually tweeted about how he loved your band, how you're a real rock band, and you never see Paul Stanley saying that about anybody.
Well, it means the world to us. They have Paul, Gene Simmons did a thing, a bunch of guys. We just played with Bad Company. Paul Rogers was kind enough to say something about us during their set, and their guitar player, Howard Leese, wore a Winery Dogs shirt. It was great. It was so nice to us, and they're so awesome, too. And then we played with Seether the other night. They were great. Nice bunch of guys. They gave a shout out to us during their show. Hung with them backstage. Really nice bunch. Really kind to us. So, we try to reciprocate whenever we can, but it's awfully nice to have our peers be so kind to us and let people know. It's a new band, we're still a lot of people don't even know we exist yet, so every little bit helps, so we appreciate that very much.
would you be interested in opening up on the major tour? Like say, like I don't know, like a Van Halen comes to mind. Something like that. Would that be something you guys would want to do?
Ready to go. I'm ready to go. It'd be great. The opening act thing is kind of cool. Generally, especially if you get with a band that they're your friends and they're cool. I've seen opening acts lots that were hellish and some that were just fantastic. Mr. Big opened for Rush for pretty much the whole Presto tour, and they were so great to us. So kind to us and generous and cool. Let's come up and play a song for an encore with Rush, so great. Talos opening for Van Halen, they were great to us. They let us do encores, and really, really good situation. Opening for Mr. Big opening for Aerosmith, for Bryan Adams. They were always super nice to us. So we haven't had too much bad experience, but once in a while it happens. Back in the early days, it happened once in a while. I think Talos was open for Pat Travers. They pulled the plug on us. I think in the middle of the set, you're done, get off. That was that. But who knows what the circumstances were. I don't know if there's malice behind that or not. But yeah, we'd love to do an opening act situation. It's always a great way to kind of brand the band. When Talos opened for Van Halen, that was a perfect band for us to open up with. We love Van Halen. I did some crazy nonsense there too. So Eddie's isn't nonsense, mine is. But it was a great way for people to know about us. And I still have people come up to me way over 30 years, 35 years later, and say, "Yeah, I saw you in Lexington, Kentucky on the Van Halen tour." Pretty cool. So we hope to have some more opening slots. It'll be wonderful.
Speaking of opening for other bands, what do you feel as far as this kind of maybe not so current trend, but seems pretty prevalent now, as far as where the bands are buying on to the tours opening versus a band, like a musician like yourself who's been in the scene and is very deserving of opening for a band like Van Halen or any other huge band, but you'll have a band that's maybe not so, let's say they haven't paid their dues, but because they're literally paying to get into it.
I got it.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, it's all about the economics of the situation. There's really no more record sales to speak of, a little tiny amount. All there is live performance and merchandise. So if you've got an opening slot that's valuable and some band wants us bad enough to pay whatever they're going to pay to get on it, and that's just, it's just the economics of the situation. It's kind of the reality of it. If a band will sell tickets and be worth their while to be on an opening slot, which will mean everybody makes more money, then they get on for that reason. But I've seen, we've had a couple of offers to do some opening slots where we would have had to pay a significant amount of money for for like 20 minutes on stage while the people are walking in, and we, of course, we turned it down, even though it was with some big acts. We want to have people get a real proper chance to see the band in the proper light. But yeah, it's a situation. It's kind of how it is. Back when Talos opened up for Van Halen, we got paid. We got paid each night. I don't know how much we got, but we got something. Where now it's usually for free or you pay to get on. Unless, of course, bands are relatively equal and they're helping each other out by being similar, having a similar audience. We'll draw more if you have two bands together that complement each other. So you got to do what the economics dictates sometimes, and unfortunately there's a situation where you have to pay in order to do it. And the steward said, "Are you guys in a band?" I go, "Yeah, what's the band, Mr. Big?" "I don't know." So, "I'm the one who." They go, a little first class upgrade. Okay, thanks very much. People, that song was just. It's funny because people say, "Oh, you must really be bummed out that it was an acoustic song." I'm not bummed out. I'm so happy to have a #1 single. Man, it's a pretty rare thing. And we love that song. We play with Mr. B. We do it every night. And it's a sea of smiling faces and people all over the world. It's been our passport to travel all over the world. So we've been everywhere with that song. We play it and people go crazy. And it was really quite a gift. We're very grateful for that.
Speaking of a song that may not be, obviously you're a world-known bass player. You're known as one of the most innovative bass players in the world. I mean, it's
very kind.
It's the truth. And there's a song where it's not necessarily like, oh, that's Billy Sheehan's bass playing. I mean, obviously you're playing on it, but it's not what the song's known for.
Actually, bass is the first note in the song.
Okay. But
and I basically played like a Paul McCartney style.
Right.
even in the pre-chorus of dun 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 dun, which is right out of Sgt. Pepper's dun 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 dun, almost the same notes
Right.
as a Sgt. Pepper. It was intentional too. I love Paul McCartney.
Well, you've written tons of songs, and being as a fantastic player as you are, do you ever struggle with, as far as your playing, as far as your songwriting?
No.
You know, not necessarily say emphasis more on the song as opposed to how
You know
much.
what? I'm never thinking about. Actually, a lot of times when I do my own stuff, the bass is the thing I put on last. I'm thinking of bass last because I want to make sure the lyrics are right and the harmonies and the rhymes and the rhyming scheme and all the stuff, and that's all important. The chord change. And oh yeah, there's bass too, and then I usually end up throwing the bass on last because as a songwriter, it's not that important to me. I mean, I know I'll do some little thing here, maybe come up with a little what you call it to make it, but bass is bass, and you do what the song needs and what it requires, and it's actually come to be pardon me, pretty handy because I play a lot of wacky stuff. It's all built on sensible chord changes and note choices, so I can pick little pieces out of that all the time and write real easily.
Right.
So a lot of times like we wrote the Hot Streak record, like the song Hot Streak, I did that, and what's that? I go, oh, it's this lick that I've been playing for years. Oh, and a song was born from a little bass lick, and How Long is like that, and a couple other ones were like that. So I don't. There'll always be a chance to show what you can do, but for me, it's not really all that important to show what I can do. I want the band to do great. I want the band to. And it's so true. You see solo artists and they go out and they're like amazing guitar player, amazing bass player, but they don't have much of a career. But if they're in a band, the band scores, it's huge, and it's huge for decades. So it's always about the band. I mean, between myself, Mike, and Richie, we want the Winery Dogs to be the focus, not Richie or Mike or me. It's the band thing. And it's really an important aspect that I think sometimes people, when they lose themselves, they start thinking about, but me, but what about my part? Well, what about my bass? No, band, it's the band. Audience come to see the band. They may want to see individual players doing individual things. We do a little solo thingy, each night. Mike does a thing, Richie does a thing, I do a thing. Sometimes those are designed to give the other guys a little break too.
Sure.
You guys towel off for a minute, I'll play bass. Oh, you're down? Okay, we'll go back to a song. So I'm not really too serious or concerned about things like that. I just want to play my best in great songs in front of as many people as possible.
That's great.
That's my enjoyment.
I'm saying some people might have the misconception that when you're so talented, the first thing is like, oh, how much can this song showcase my playing? And that's great to hear that it's for you. It's
how to ruin a
songwriting.
song really easily.
Yeah.
Because the focus of the song should be the song, melody and lyrics. Always first, and then whatever else is the framework you put around them. So you start building that frame that looks like a monstrosity. What kind of a painting you put in the middle of it? It's backwards too. You always frame the painting after you paint it. So it's I think it's an important thing. And we hear a lot of times I have opening acts that are relatively inexperienced bands, and hear some of the songwriting that they do, and they can see how I wish they could spend 10 years playing in bars, playing copy tunes in bars, and I guarantee you they're going to be better writers. Because the Beatles were a copy band, Van Halen was a copy band. So many great bands that were great writers later were copy bands. You learn how to do it that way. In art in general, I think it was Hunter S. Thompson. I forgot which book it was, but he says a famous book that he loved. He hand copied. I hope I'm correct with the people and the situation, but the story is true. He hand copied the entire book to get the idea of the feel of what it would be like to write that great book.
Right.
So even writers copy initially to give them their baby steps that they grow into their talent. Musicians certainly do all the time, but even painters too. A lot of painters, old school, they go and they paint the masters. They learn how to do the masters. Then when they go off and do their thing, they got a background to it. So that has a lot to do with the songwriting process. And so if that's the basis of your songwriting, you're in good shape. If it's how many holes in the solos we can throw lyrics in, you're gonna have a hard time. Trust me. If you're successful at it, God bless you. That's good. But generally, I don't think it's the way to go.
Do you think all those sweaty nights playing stage one back in the day, that you think that was a big part of you becoming who you are right now?
They were worth their weight in platinum shavings. Really was. It really was. And as much as sometimes it was tough, we're up there slugging it out every Monday night there, every Tuesday night at the Barrelhead, every Sunday night at Eat Cheese, every Wednesday night at the Purple Moose or whatever these things turn into. Man, I wouldn't have known it then. I wish somebody would have come up and said, you know what, 20 or 30 years from now, this is gonna be your foundation, and it's gonna be 18 inches of structural concrete. So it's I'm very glad about it.
Yeah, those are some great nights. I mean, I have some great memories of seeing you like late at night, playing the Salty Dog or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just like having
What a ride.
just like watching you say, I cannot believe I'm like right next to a legend. I mean, that was like 82, like right before you were gonna join up with David Lee Roth and that, and we all knew it. We all knew it, just a matter of time.
Well, I didn't know it, but someone had happened. Man, I was sure really, but it was really there's a couple of books that could be written on it. And there may be one written someday, who knows? But there's just the experiences we've had, and you learn. And I often say this now because there's all this controversy about the meet and greet. You got to do the meet and greet. You want to do a meet and great. You want to charge people to meet the band and shake their hand. We're always against it. And the band's getting kind of a bad reputation. We don't like to do meet and greets for the wrong reason. We don't like to do them because we don't like to take people's money for what I do outside by the Best for free every night after every show anyway. And the way I describe it is, back in those days, we'd step off the stage, like the Barrelhead. There was no dressing room. We'd step off the stage into the audience and hang with them and have beers at their table and sit around. They were all our friends. And then look up at the clock, time, set number 2, get up there and play set number 2. And there was never a wall between us and the audience. There was no back dressing room or security fence or security guys. We were all friends together. And so that's why the whole idea of people paying to come up, meet me, and have me sign something and shake my hand, sometimes we got to do it because it's a contractual thing. We're kind of forced into it. We try to avoid it. But that's those days built all that in. And we have a great relationship with fans of this band, and myself, any other band I'm in, and any other part of the world, we have just an incredible network of people that come see us play, and there are friends and fans and fly from all over the world to see us. Pretty awesome. And even that I can attribute to the early club days.
Yeah, I remember doing an interview with you once before, and you would tell me when Talus played Kleinhans back in like '98 or whatever, you had people flying in from Japan to see the band, and that's incredible.
Japan and the UK and Germany, and pretty cool.
Yeah,
and now there's even more of that. We play in Japan, people fly in from all over. I say, if you want to experience Japan, which is an exotic, amazing, incredible experience for someone who's never been there, the best way to do it was when there's a Mr. Big show and you come in, we're playing sold out Budokan, and if you're at the hotel and you want to find this fans around, hey, do you know where they're? Oh, they'll take you. They'll show you where it is, and they're wonderful, incredible people. Some of my greatest memories and most lovely moments were with the Japanese fans there, and elsewhere too. We play in Germany. The Koreans fly in, the Japanese fly in. It's an incredible thing these days. We have so many people all around the world that are our friends and come see us play, and I'm very grateful.
I want to say thank you for doing this interview, but I want to end it on getting your feelings on a quote that you gave before, and this is something that's kind of like motivated me through certain parts of my life. But you said you gave up a lot of things in exchange for your success. Mm-hmm. Can you just elaborate on some of the things that people take for granted that you gave up so you could be who you are now?
Well, there was no wife, no kids, no family, ceaseless work, constant work, and since you're self-employed, I always say, I think on my Facebook page, I'm self-employed and my boss is a prick, and my boss is a slave driver. Immense, massive amounts of time sitting and working and figuring and relearning and rehabilitating and gear, like hours and hours, unlimited amounts of cash. I didn't even drive till I was 25 because I spent so much money on my gear.
Wow.
And so I'm married now, and it's a fabulous thing, but I'm glad I waited till I was married because now I have time, a little bit more time to hang with my wife, and we have a wonderful relationship together. It's very cool. But I gave up everything, and no kids, very little time to spend with my family, and I was on the road constantly, and it wasn't hard though, because I'm not a drug guy, so, and I've never been a heavy drinker, so we could enjoy it on the road. If you're drunk off your ass and high or whatever, the road can be ugly and terrible, but it was actually generally enjoyable. So that's not so bad. But yeah, I gave up everything, almost all my time. people come and knock on my old apartment door here in Buffalo and say hi, and I had the bass on. I go, well, should I ever put that thing down? I go, no, I don't. Now that you mention it, I still got more to learn. And now, after playing for 50 years, I'm still working on it. I'm still, this morning in the hotel, I was working out, came up with a new thing that I never knew before. Almost every day I do, and there's always more to learn. No matter what height the mountain you climb, there's another one right on the horizon to climb again. So that's a great motivation to me. There's always more, and it's still exciting to me. And I hope to make that as contagious as possible with everybody, no matter what they do. You know, and so I do clinics and seminars. I really try to build that up to people. You know, if you're bored, it's your problem. You know, there's a whole fascinating, amazing world surrounding all of us all the time. You know, note choices and different styles of music, and so much to learn. It's crazy. So, yeah, I gave it all up, but in the end, the payoff, it was a gamble. The risk-reward ratio, how much you risk versus what reward you're going to get. I risked a lot. I never had a job. I quit high school, went right to it. If I would have failed, I don't know what would have happened to me. But like the generals used to take the army and the ship to the other land, and they'd burn the ship. So you win or you're going to die trying, because you ain't going home. And that's pretty much how it was, you know. So I got in a situation where, you know, I had no other job skills really, and there I was, the ashes of the ship were in the bay, and okay, man, let's take the mountain. And the end result was an incredible, amazing reward. Not even so much monetarily or financially. I do okay. No rich guy by any chance, but the richness. I just mentioned people that fly in from Korea to see us, fly in from Germany to see us. We got friends in Belgium. I get more email from Indonesia than anywhere in the world. I've been all over China, Russia. I've been all over the world. I got friends everywhere. You can't buy that for any amount of money. So it's paid off. So I'm glad I took the risk, took the chance, made the sacrifices. In the end, I think it's worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Billy. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.